in the markets. We have no idea what is going on. And to be honest, I don't think anyone else does either. We're going to talk about Jerome Powell's testimony in front of Congress, the continued run up on crypto, and much more. Before we get going, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. Nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice. We are not financial advisors. We're just a couple of guys who enjoy following the markets. So please do your own research before making any sort of buys or sells. Kevin, nothing makes sense today. Okay. I'm looking at, I got everything pulled up. Equities are all down. At the same time, the dollar is down at 102. And the VIX, the volatility index, is at its lowest level in exactly 41 months. January 21 of 2020 is the last time that we saw the VIX at this low of a level. This doesn't make any sense. I have no clue what I'm doing right now. I don't think anyone really knows what they're doing. I listen to people, these chief investment officers, and they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. They don't have any clue. They're like, yep, every indicator is out there. There should be a recession, but things aren't moving that way. So we don't really know. I guess we're just going to throw money at the market. It's absolute shenanigans.
Yeah.
When in doubt, throw more money at the market.
I mean, clearly it's fucking working out for everyone who's had Tesla and fucking Bitcoin recently, right? It's insane. It's definitely to the point where I think a lot of people who are strongly convicted bears are now questioning themselves. And, a lot of my friends who I really trust are, their TA and stuff like that. It's like, what are you guys doing over there? Why are we changing our mind all of a sudden? I think it's just, the market's weeding out the weak. It's unfortunate, but 100% is what I think we're seeing. Like you said, when in doubt, throw money at it. It's so confusing. If you have any basic knowledge of economics, this has to be like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, is this real or is this for...
We're living in the upside down right now. Shout out Mr. House, Randy, welcome. We got somebody new, Mr. Schmeck, another pudgy penguin in the house. You love to see that. Appreciate you being here with us. But yeah, Kev, it's just so weird, man. Like crypto, and we don't I feel like straight up out of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like Charlie in front of the board, like the Pepe Sylvia, just like chain smoking, trying to figure out what is going on. We got all of a sudden the government is like all about crypto and like a 2-week swing here. Pretty interesting to see. Powell said that, crypto has become an asset class. He's, okay with stable coins. We got every institutional player under the sun starting an ETF. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Then we had Powell testifying today. Why don't you touch on that and we'll get into Powell testifying?
Yeah, no, it's just, it's just, I think you said it best. It's wild how the United States they're very good at manipulating the market or making it feel manipulative. Obviously, crypto's bad. Now crypto good. It's pretty much how it's been. And when crypto good, it goes up $2,100 in a day. When crypto bad, it goes down $800. So
crypto is only good when it's being run by large institutions and the government, right? Yeah, that's the only time. True. Otherwise, it's not safe. You can't trust anyone but the government and these large institutions because they have never done wrong. No. They've never done anything wrong. And Mr. Schmeck, you're new. That was me being sarcastic. An absolutely ridiculous day. We had Jerome Powell testifying in front of Congress this morning. Once again, each time that he testifies, I think his fuse gets shorter and shorter because you can just see the look of disdain on his face when these congressmen and women are addressing him and basically telling him that he needs to talk to them before raising interest rates. Oh, that is a wild, wild thing to hear. I mean, I trust Jerome Powell far more than any of these. He's so much more impartial. You see the Republicans, telling him he needs to tighten the market up more. Obviously, they want things to crash ahead of the 2024 election. You have the Democrats telling him to ease off because they don't want the economy to crash ahead of the 2024 election cycle. So it's like, I just don't even know. Like, it's so stupid. And then you have Jerome Powell in the middle, just like ears in his fingers in his ears, just like, I don't want to listen to any of you people. Let me go do my job. He stated today, and this is something that we've been talking about for a while on here, that we're probably going to see like multiple rate hikes in the coming months. The projections have gone up. We're now looking at 80% chance of 25 basis points in July. We still haven't seen too much movement toward 25 basis points in September, but looking like that's a real possibility. obviously a lot of data between now and then, so that will change rapidly, like very rapidly. So we need to keep our eyes on that. The 225 basis point hikes are getting priced into the markets today. That was the downward movement we saw when the markets opened. Had a brief rally. Now it's on its way back down. But, we're seeing a lot of stuff get priced in. Meanwhile, a lot of these big investment firms are still sitting on mountains of cash and feel like they're having to play catch up.
Yeah, I mean, that last part right there, I think, is something that I was questioning after the show yesterday when it comes to how much cash there actually is on the sidelines right now. Because again, we could look at this and say, there's not so much money left in circulation, but then we think about how much money was printed back in 2020, right? And there's actually a good amount of cash that are still sitting on the sidelines. So this might just be fun money, but at the same time, it's a lot of fucking money that's out there. And so this could be a long rinse and repeat cycle where we're just, dragging shit out longer than it needs to be. And that could cause rates to go higher just because there's still so much money flowing. So it's really, it's kind of, it's good to keep that in mind. That's why we're seeing like days like, for example, Bitcoin shooting up $2,000 in a day. A huge chunk of the first leg of that going up is 100% institutional players. But, after that, it just shows that consumers still have a lot of money. So, yeah, printing money is bad. And we're seeing how much it could really mess up a market when it's just changing kind of what we would expect to be the normal outcome of certain economic factors, such as, higher interest rates. It's just not really impacting as much as they anticipated. So maybe we do need to go higher. I know 50 basis points until the end of the year total is likely it's going to happen, Powell, like we were just saying. But, if we don't start to see some of this money kind of cool down, maybe it goes higher. That's just always a possibility. Again, probably into 2024.
Yeah, and I was going to say there's a very real chance that we see rates stay in the fives through 2024, Absolutely. Which would be brutal. If you look at how much debt there is, how much credit card debt there is, we talk about this all the time, but the student loan payments starting back up here in the next month and a half, right? Like that's going to be added to this pile of shit. And if you then add on the fact that we're going to keep those rates higher for an extended period of time, I mean, people are like, we've already seen a huge flip in the amount of savings that the average person has versus the amount of debt the average person has. It's getting bad and it's going to keep getting worse until rates can come back down. So it is going to be, it's ugly out there, man. Like I'm enjoying, and this is why I like to just have my long-term positions. I can enjoy the fun of things running up, but at the same time, I still have cash on hand because I don't believe that, this is going to continue for an extended period of time. I think there has to be more pain before we can get back into a legit bull market. We're seeing a lot of parallels now, and this is being discussed by institutional players too, to 1999 and 2000 before the dot-com bubble. And will this be an AI bubble? I don't know. I really don't. But it could still run up for a little while before it gets really ugly. And Ace, I completely agree. Like the blood, it's coming at some point. Just don't get caught with your pants down. Don't, and I also heard a lot of discussion about we're seeing institutions FOMO in as well, whether it's in AI stocks because they were underexposed, whether it's in crypto because they had no exposure. Don't think that just because these institutions, have all the resources in the world that they're not susceptible to FOMO as well, because they definitely are. And we're seeing some of that play out right now. So just something to keep in mind there. I think I want to jump into some of the charts today. We're going to keep today's show a little bit shorter. I know Kevin's got a flight to catch, but we want to jump into some of the charts looking at Bitcoin dominance. I know, Kevin, you also want to talk about a pattern that you saw in the total market cap for crypto. So, if you're one of these people who believes in technicals, basically just astrology for dudes. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the charts.
Yeah, get ready to hear my bullshit out. Real quick, I just want to pull up the DXY just because we haven't looked at the dollar in a few days. We can see that we took some nasty drops recently, right? We're getting these nasty red candles going down. And we came all the way down to this blue line here, which is 102.035. We bounced off of it back on Thursday of June. What was it? The 15th of June. That was last week. And then, we bounced off it again today. So, we're finding support on this level. We're extremely oversold if we look on the daily. believe we're in the oversold. Yep. See, we're coming oversold, but we're coming out of the oversold. We should be making some moves to the upside. Obviously, finding support here is really good. But this pattern that we're seeing in the 4-hourly for the day for the DXY, this isn't a pattern that we like to see. This is higher highs and higher lows. They tend to break down. That's clearly what we saw here. What we want to see is something more like what we see on the macro over here. So see how we saw this pattern kind of U-shaped, right? It's kind of like a cup and handle, but this isn't a cup and handle. It's not. But we're pretty much forming.
Is it dick and balls? Is it dick and balls pattern?
Cock and balls pattern is the preferred term. Yes. There you go.
Preferred nomenclature.
Preferred nomenclature. You got it. But yeah, so here's the two balls and here's the cock. But no, I'm just kidding. But what you want to see is you want to see like these U shapes, or you want to see lower lows and lower highs. Those are the patterns towards the bottom you want to see for good recovery, right? We didn't see it over here. That's why we came back down and tested 102. And again, this is based off news. The markets are being stupid right now. We can even see right here the DXY falls after Powell's testimony. It's probably going to react again once we hear him talk before Elizabeth Warren tomorrow. If she decides to show up and bitch him out again. But yeah, so these patterns are not good, and that's why I want to go into the total market cap, because the total market
that market do, baby. Mark, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
The total market cap is doing absolutely the opposite of what I would like to see it do, right? And we're doing it on the macro, so we want to see that U-shaped pattern, right? But we're kind of putting in lower highs and lower lows on the macro. Not necessarily a great thing. We can see that if we zoom in a little bit more, this is kind of an odd but familiar pattern. I see a left shoulder, I see a head, and I see a right shoulder that bottomed, and now it's starting to go towards the top, and we're going pretty fast. So that's not necessarily a great thing to see. We've added a lot in market cap, obviously, in the past 2-3 days. Again, on the daily, there's another thing that we need to keep an eye on. That is the 50 and the 200 EMA are extremely close. So yeah, we are climbing up right now, but I don't think we're going to get above this up here at this 1.25 trillion. Obviously, a lot more would have to be added in terms of market cap to get there. But I do think that this pattern is similar to what we were seeing on Bitcoin. Bitcoins might have changed, momentarily, but this is 100% to me a head and shoulders pattern. I think that since we're also, overbought on the daily, we're getting close to resistance to this middle trend line. Maybe we get there, maybe we don't. But this is we've tested this as support a few times, 1, 2, 3, and we broke out of this and we came back into it. I think that if we retest this again, we're likely to lose it. And again, we're also putting in a bear flag. This is higher highs and higher lows along this way. This isn't. I mean, this could go all the way up to the top channel. I don't think it will, but I think that this is going to cause us to break down. And let's look at why this might break down. So we first saw why this dropped from this head right up here, right? Why this was able to form this, this head completely and go into the right shoulder down here. This is 100% because Bitcoin dominance has been so high, and we saw a lot of the altcoins bleeding out. This is total market cap. So Bitcoin's market cap could have stayed relatively the same, or dropped a little bit, but we saw how much alts have bled since the SEC, Binance, all that stuff. So that's why we saw it come down. And now we're adding some market cap back in. Majority of this is Bitcoin. Like I said, of the 52 billion that's came in today, 35 billion belongs to Bitcoin's market cap. So that's to keep that in mind. So we also want to take a look at Bitcoin dominance, because that has also taken a massive leg up, right? So we broke through the level of resistance that we had talked about, which was 51.37. We're at 51.53 right now. So we're just climbing at this point, right? We
touched what, 51.9, almost 52?
I think we did go to 52, to be honest. I'm pretty sure.
Did we get 52?
Or 50 point. Let's see. This
just under.
This is kind of fake though sometimes, because I've definitely taken screenshots where it was like 51%, and then I check later after it's dropped a little bit and it'll say, oh no, it never went to the height of 51. I'm like, bullshit, I got proof on my phone. But this is saying that it's 50.8. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I saw it like close to 52% today. So we'll keep
Kevin's out here going full Karen mode on TradingView. I'd like to speak to the manager about these levels.
Exactly. I want to use my coupons to buy cheaper Bitcoin. That was a stupid joke. I'm sorry. But yeah, so Bitcoin dominance obviously is kicking ass, right? And this is shooting up, and this is 100% going up with Bitcoin's market cap, and also we see the total market cap going up. But the total market cap is comprised mainly of Bitcoin shooting up, so that's why we're not seeing the alts kind of take off. So this being up here is an extremely dangerous level, because this can continue to rally. And a lot of trading pairs aren't just in USDT; they're also in Bitcoin. So I bring up the ETH BTC chart all the time. You can spell it. And I want to show you how much of a bloodbath this has been since Bitcoin dominance has been increasing, right? I mean, it's went below, what is this, the April. So Bitcoin dominance has been climbing nonstop, and then it shot down. We could see right here where this is pushing up. Bitcoin's dominance was probably pulling back here. But again, once again, if we look at this on trading pair, this is the parallel channels making higher highs and higher lows breakdown. And this is a pattern that I'm just going to keep bringing up because it's happening on a lot of coins. Like, let's see. Let's pull up BNB. So you can see BNB was trading in this parallel channel right here, and then it broke down, tested the bottom channel. It went below it, and that's currently where we are now. But now we're making another parallel channel, which is kind of wild, right below it. And we can see on the daily that we are extremely overbought. And you see higher highs, higher lows. If you can see it better on the 4-hourly, I believe. Yeah, you can kind of see it like this. And we did get to this point where we found the bottom of that channel and we found resistance on it. So now we were kind of stuck in this triangle where it's, we could either break up or we could break down. If this market, it does make sense and we aren't accounting for manipulation or, people FOMOing in, then likely this parallel channel would break down to probably test this 213 level. But again, that's if all things make sense in this world, and things currently do not make sense in a lot of.
BNB is up because CZ is about to dump all of it onto Kazakhstan. And so that's what's happening there.
It's fucked up when you got to go into some of these countries that probably have never seen I don't know, crypto, or, their currency is probably devalued, and he's just going to be dumping on everybody at this point. He's just going after everyone.
They announced 2 hours ago that they're launching a regulated digital asset platform in Kazakhstan with local banking support. So
wonderful.
He's got new people to buy his tokens for him.
This guy is a fucking snake oil salesman. But yeah, it's we found resistance up here. The 4-hourly is looking like crap. It looks like it needs to come down. The daily is the one that concerns me the most because this is a pretty steep climb. Finding resistance right there, we can see that the volumes are dropping off significantly since this drop, all the way down to, what was it, 220. So keep an eye on that. Matic is Matic. Yeah, Matic's another one that's putting in a parallel channel down here. Again, we see that the volumes have dropped a little bit here. A little bit of a green pump today. I think we're right under it. We broke above it, but at the same time, we're right below it. This is on the daily. Let's look at the 4-hourly. 4-hourly is just as important as the daily to me right now because we're, like I said, we're in irrational times and we're testing resistances on the 4-hourly, the hourly, all this shit. We can see that we're finding some red right up here. We're completely overbought, and we're seeing that the price is pulling back a little bit. And the last time we put up a parallel channel, we went up from here, and then we dropped back. Can't even speak. We broke down and we had 55 cents, and then we started climbing up again, and currently we're at 65 cents. So if this makes sense, once again, maybe this 200 climbs down here and we find some resistance on it. But I think that we're going to find resistance on this top parallel channel right here. We're going to come test the bottom of it, which would be 60 cents again. Do I think this is going to happen fast? I don't know. It seems like the market is pretty irrational right now and bullish, and we're seeing a lot of money pour in. So maybe this kind of is a slow bleed, but I do think that if we do break this parallel channel, that's going to be another one that we're going to be testing. I don't know, maybe go for a double bottom at 50 before we see some recovery. But these are not structures we want to see for an absolute recovery. These are more of just all right, this is one more leg to the downside, most likely, and then hopefully we get a recovery. If we look at Bitcoin one more time today, the most important thing that I'm seeing is that they gave a lot of people the opportunity to sell once again in the supply zone. So the local top we saw almost tap today, actually. 31K is where we are looking at for the top of this move. Obviously, this shot up extremely high. This is, I think, what was the height of it today? 30,000. Says 30,800 right to the penny. This is using BTC on Binance, BTC USD. So it didn't cross above this height over here. But again, now we're in a supply zone. This is where all the Bitcoin is being distributed back up here, being sold. And then people were, trying to buy it back and then just kept getting rejecting these channels. The other thing to keep in mind with this is how stupid this looks by just having all this green line straight up. I see no support whatsoever, right? Maybe a little bit of support here or there on the 4-hourly, but if we look on the daily, this is going to look really dumb. Yeah, look at that. Just massive gap right there, massive gap right here. We're going to see how this plays out. Obviously, if we start falling down in a channel similar to this, where we're putting in lower lows and lower highs, we're going to break up higher. If we start to see kind of a top where we're just shooting over, kind of like a rounding on the top, make like an arc, then it's a good chance that the move is over. We're seeing exhaustion, then we might see a bit of a sell off. Could even see a
Kev,
bearish
have you
engulfing
looked to
candle.
see what liquidations have looked like in the last day or two? Like,
I
have
have
we
not.
seen much there? Has it been kind of, yeah, you mind checking that real quick so we can kind of maybe get a better idea, if any of this was a short squeeze, like what all is going on
Yeah,
from
so
that
past
standpoint? Because
24 hours, $237 million have been, wrecked from the space. And yeah, it was a short squeeze. $191 million was people who were shorting the market. 46 were those who were longing the market. I'm assuming that, the 46 million, you'd see that a lot of it was in the past 12 hours. So maybe that was why we saw that bit of a pullback. And then it shot up another, 1,800 where we currently are right now. So definitely a short squeeze. And again, that's the thing we were talking about, I think, with a lot of the Binance, we're seeing negative funding rates. There was a chance that there was going to be a bit of a short squeeze, but it was in Bitcoin. And, obviously we saw some of those CME gaps yesterday, and there's a lot of issues there's definitely a lot of issues where people saw that the price was going down, but they were shorting the bottom of support. Not necessarily a good setup. And again, if we look, we saw the Bitcoin chart where it's putting in lower lows and lower highs on the macro on the daily. We weren't going down fast enough, and we did get under 25.28K, which was something that we were looking at. But the fact that we weren't able to hold it, that's probably why they were able to push the price up and liquidate everyone. So liquidations are pretty big. It looks like Bitcoin is 100% the leader. It's about the 24-hour. Yeah, Bitcoin in the past 24 hours, it says 108.64 million, ETH 49 million. Everything else is kind of weak. Like, yeah, alts haven't really done much. They've gone up maybe, like most coins have gone up maybe a penny.
is that Pepe right there?
Pepe is there. Yeah, Pepe screwed people out of 4.4 million.
Pepe is ripping today, man. I want to say Pepe is up like 50% on the day.
Yeah, well, look at all the fucking people who are shorting Pepe too late. That's what you get. No, I'm just kidding. I honestly, Pepe shouldn't even be on this chart. I think, I don't know. Frog coins, frog economics. I'm not into that right now. This is
frog economics.
I'm not into it, man. It's a little sketchy for me, but yeah, liquidations are high, and yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the charts, the things that we have to keep an eye on. I think that we just have to monitor the 1 hour and the 4 hour and the daily. The daily for Bitcoin is completely overbought. So, if we start to see those patterns form on, the shorter time frames where it's kind of making that arc, then we know that, okay, there's a good chance that this is going to break down fairly soon. We're in the supply zone too. So a lot of people who have a lot of money that weren't able to sell earlier are now given the second opportunity to sell. And maybe we trade here for a few days. Last time we traded for like maybe 2 days. But, once we got into that 31K, it was a massive sell-off. It just shot straight down back below 30. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. For the time being, I wouldn't worry too much about, anything other than Bitcoin dominance, especially if you're in the alts and you're shorting alts. There is going to be a bounce at some point. But the thing is, Bitcoin dominance is so high that the trading pairs against alts on, on Bitcoin, it's not great. So, things are still continuing to bleed out in that perspective. So maybe you were able to make some money shorting those, like we talked about yesterday. Otherwise, USD, USDT, I don't know, man. It's Bitcoin's market, and everyone else is just its bitch. It's pretty much how it's been going for the past 24 hours.
I see a lot of sentiment right now. People just desperate, like, when is this? Does this mean my alts are going to run soon? And I'm like, no. I don't know about that, man. The only reason, honestly, the only reason that Bitcoin and ETH and I guess maybe even Litecoin is because of that news around, was it EDX?
Yep.
From Citadel and Schwab. Like that's why for the most part. And it's been interesting. Like we talked back in May, is this the sell in May and go away time? It was the opposite. Yeah. Like this summer, maybe looking back, it was you buy in May and then you go away and then you just come back and then you sell everything. Like maybe we're in for a summer where we get, an unusual pump before, the come down later this year when rates have to go higher, when we get the next round, because we don't really have, earnings season doesn't kick off again for another few weeks. We'll get Q2 earnings starting, mid-July. And so we could be in for a little bit of a run here if there's no other disastrous news, right? Like the Fed meeting, the next one isn't until July 26th. We'll have, like I said, we'll have earnings coming out. So maybe we have a little bit more momentum to the upside because, you talk about some of these things being overbought. We've also seen that they can stay overbought for a while, right?
For sure.
So this could absolutely be one of those situations where we got 3-4 weeks of positive movement, and then things potentially come back down to earth. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how the data shakes out. We get PCE next week for the latest inflation reading. We'll have more jobs data early next month. We'll get CPI before the next Fed. So a lot to look forward to. But I think that is a good place for us to wrap it up today, Kev.
I will say this though, for Bitcoin, the way it's shot up so fast, so quick, that it's created so many fair market value gaps that those tend to get filled. So if you get freaking out right now, just think about how much liquidity is building up below by people longing here. So, there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of money to be made also on the way down. You're going to have to see where, the supply zone ends, where people are still buying into. It's weird to me that people are buying at 30,000, 31K when, people were buying it a few weeks ago. So just be patient.
That's psychology though, man. Like you're expecting people to act rationally, and you can't assume that. Don't assume that people are going to act rationally.
Oh, no.
Now, to your point, I looked back at in April when we were up near 31,000, and within 9 days of that peak, it was back under 27. Yeah. So we could absolutely see a similar setup here. But I think you can't discount FOMO. You can't discount the fact that people will act irrationally. Like just because they didn't buy at 20 doesn't mean they're not going to buy at 30. Like that's people will follow whatever is hot. And if they're getting the green light from Uncle Sam to go buy Bitcoin, then they're going to go buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's who's willing to buy that much that's being offloaded, I think is the better question. That's I know retail buy. Retail fucking knows one thing, and that's just to buy, right? It's the only way you can make money in the market. But
did you also, real quick, also see that BlackRock is doing an OTC deal for the Silk Road Bitcoin? Did you see that story?
No, I didn't, man. It's wouldn't be surprised though.
They're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're just letting it all out there because they don't give a shit, because they know no one's going to do anything about the fact that they're just acting shady as fuck. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, man. It's good luck to everyone after this bear market. If you survive and you happen to have one Bitcoin, maybe BlackRock might come after you and try and do an OTC deal with you to get 19 million in their pocket. But it's they don't care anymore, man. It's everyone's getting lazy and sloppy, and just let it all burn. That's all I can say.
Just let it burn. All right, I think that's a great place to end it. Thank you, everybody, for watching today. Ace, Mr. House, Randy, Mr. Schmeck, Mark, you guys are awesome. Appreciate all the support, all the commentary here. Do us a favor, if you have not yet, hit that like button down below, subscribe to our channel, drop a comment in there. And if you are so inclined, and I saw Randy do it earlier, I really appreciate it. Share us out on social media. That is the best way for us to get in front of more people. So thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Have an awesome day.
Take care, everyone.